Good evening. It's 7:15 p.m. on the West Coast, and the good thing is we have a lot of questions that can be answered today, because there's really a lot of information that's just come out on the stimulus checks, unemployment, the coronavirus bill, how much do the gig workers get, etc. Let me start with gig workers. This is from CN, what is it? I can't read the bottom there, sorry. So the bill would allow gig workers such as Uber and Lyft drivers, as well as freelancers and the self-employed, to be eligible to apply for unemployment benefits. It would also add $600 per week for up to 4 months compared to what beneficiaries normally receive. So you guys know what you make in your city. You know what you make per week. You know what you make per month. So if we calculate this out, best case scenario, you're a full-time driver, you qualify. Of course, there are some conditions. You have to have your 2018 and your 2019 taxes filed. That's very, very important. Okay, those need to be in. If you haven't done that, scramble. Just use some online service, either get your 2018 or 2019 in. Otherwise, you do not qualify for this, right? But if you do the numbers here, you say that 4 weeks at $600 per week, you look at the $2,400 that you can potentially get in 2 to 3 weeks' time, right? In 2009, by the way, it took up to 3 months to get that money. Now, the Senate unanimously passed that $2 trillion economic rescue plan on Wednesday. The questions that need to be answered here: how large would the payments be? I just read you the news for the gig workers. It could be $600 per week for a maximum of 4 months. If you calculate that out, the max is $9,600. Can we collect UI and still drive? No, you can't, right? That's why you're filing for unemployment, right? Most adults would get $1,200, although some would get less. For every qualifying child age 16 or under, the payment would be an additional $500. That's if you're employed, you've got a job, right? How many payments would there be? Just one. On that, there would just be one. Future bills could order up additional payments, though. So if there are additional bills that they will work on, obviously you could be receiving more. But if you're employed and you're earning up to $75,000, that's what you're going to expect, $1,200 plus $500 per child. As far as the gig workers go, right, you can potentially make $600 per week, max of $2,400 a month, and a max for 4 months. So put that $2,400, compare that to what you were averaging per month. How does that look like? Are you coming out better? Are you losing money? Now, how do I know if I will get the full amount? It depends on your income. So single adults with Social Security numbers who are United States residents and have an adjusted gross income of $75,000 or less would get the full amount. Married couples with no children earning $150,000 or less would receive a total of $2,400. Sam says, hey, Professor, I applied yesterday for unemployment, but they never asked how much I was making with Uber and Lyft. They may still require those documents down the line. They obviously have access and know what you've been paying tax-wise. Married couples with no children earning $150,000 or less would receive a total of $2,400, and taxpayers filing as head of household would get the full payment if they earned 112,500 or less. Above those income figures, the payment decreases until it stops altogether for single people earning 99,000 or married people who have no children and earn $198,000. According to the Senate Finance Committee, a family with 2 children would no longer be eligible for any payments if its income surpassed $218,000. You can't get a payment if someone claims you as a dependent, even if you're an adult. In any given family, and in most instances, everyone must have a valid social security number in order to be eligible. There is an exception for members of the military. So you can find your adjusted gross income on line 8B of the 2019 1040 federal tax terms. Quest 360, we will not be paying any taxes on this IRS payment. Similar to it, yeah, it's a tax refund, right? It's a stimulus. It's said to help you. Not paying taxes on it. That's yours. Comes in form of a check. What year's income should I be looking at? You should be looking at 2019. If you haven't prepared a tax return yet, you can use your 2018 return. So just to clarify, right, what year's income should I be looking at 2019? If you haven't prepared a tax return yet, you can use your 2018 return. Okay? Does everyone in this room, that's in this room here, qualify for that? Do you have access to 2018 or 2019 numbers, right? If you haven't filed that yet, you can use a 2019 Social Security statement showing your income to see what an employer reported to the IRS. Okay, that's a good one. What if my recent income made me ineligible, but I anticipate being eligible because of a loss of income in 2020? Do I get a payment? The bill does not help people in that circumstance now, but you may benefit once you file your 2020 taxes. That's because the payment is technically an advance on a tax credit that is available for the entire year. So it will depend on how much you earn. Meanwhile, there are many other provisions in the legislation. You may be able to file for unemployment or for one of the new loans for small business owners or sole proprietor. Got to sneeze, sorry. So do we have any small business owners in here? Are you maybe like a fleet owner? Do you own several cars? Are you registered as an LLC? Are you registered as an S corporation? Are there any small business owners in here? Good evening, David Pham. How are you? So would I have to apply to receive a payment? No, if the Internal Revenue Service already has your bank account information, it would transfer the money to you via direct deposit based on the recent income tax figures it already has. Okay? Now, when would the payment arrive? This is where you got to hold your breath, right? The state treasury, I don't know how much you trust him, but he said expected most people can get their payments within 3 weeks. We know those type of promises from the past. In 2009, people waited 3 months. So 3 weeks turned into 3 months. If my payment doesn't come soon, how can I be sure that it wasn't misdirected? That's a good question. So if my payment doesn't come soon, how can I be sure that it wasn't misdirected? According to the bill, you would get a paper notice in the mail no later than a week and a few weeks after your payment had been disbursed. That notice would contain information about where the payment ended up and in what form it was made. If you couldn't locate the payment at that point, it would be time to contact the IRS using the information on the notice. Okay? How is Peterson doing? I heard Peterson had a stroke. Trying to get more information. I know that we leased him out an SUV. He turned that in. We then organized him a Toyota Prius. He turned that in. He then went out and got a 2016 Prius from somebody else. Apparently T-boned that, had a crash. And now I hear he's had a stroke. So we pray for him and we hope he's okay. I'll still get more intel tonight. I've called a couple of people. I've sent a couple of emails out. What if I haven't filed tax returns recently? What would that affect my ability to receive a payment? Yes, it could, right? File a return immediately, at least for 2018, according to the IRS website. Those without 2018 tax filings on record could potentially affect mailings of stimulus checks, the site says. Okay. Kenneth, how are you? Alejandro, how are you? Can we get some thumbs up? I'm only sitting there on 9. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. If you're worried about money that you owe, that you cannot pay, the IRS recommends consulting a tax professional who can help you request an alternative payment plan or some other resolution. Would most people who are receiving Social Security retirement and disability payments each month also get a stimulus payment? Yes, they would. I'm doing good. It's a long day, tired. But you know, I'm prepared. I ordered from overseas, have friends in Germany. I got a lot of different supplies in, medical supplies. So, you know, just doing what I can. Did a massive grocery shopping at Costco, just under $500. So I think I'm pretty well stocked up. Grad Abdulali, I'm in California. Can I file unemployment? I didn't drive since shelter in place. Yes, you can, as long as you filed your 2018 or 2019 taxes. Would eligible unemployed people get the stimulus payment? For example, veterans? Yes and yes. Let me just ask that question again. Would eligible unemployed people get these stimulus payments? Would veterans get it? Answers are yes and yes. Do I have to pay income? Do we have any vets in the room? Do we have any veterans? Go Donnie, I can tell you I work crazy hours for my money, my friend, right? And I've sacrificed many years to go out there, study, and work for different companies to acquire knowledge. Nothing in my life came for free. I can guarantee you that. I've worked my butt off since the age of 11. Since 11, every single day. Okay, so I think at the sweet age of 50, I should get the rewards, right? Absolutely, why not? You know, I believe in input equals output, that I can tell you. Do I have to pay income taxes on the amount of my payment? Do I have to pay income taxes on the amount of my payment? Somebody earlier on asked that. No, you don't. You're not paying income taxes on that amount of the payment. That's your money, right? Kenneth is Kenny from South Bay. Can we get unemployment benefits? My sister told me she's seen on Channel 5 News that we qualify for unemployment. Yes, we do. And if you go to the very beginning of my video, the good news is that you can get up to $600 a week, right, for 4 months. So let's do the math. $600, that's the peak, right? $600. Maybe you've been full-time Uber or Lyft, put in crazy hours, should totally qualify for that. 4 times 600, 2,400 per month, times 4 months, 9,600. As long as you have those 2018 and 2019 taxes filed, guys. If you haven't, do it yesterday, please. All right? Now, if my income tax refunds are currently being garnished because of a student loan default, and there's many student drivers out there, right? Would this payment be garnished as well? No. In fact, the bill temporarily suspends nearly all efforts to garnish tax refunds to repay debts, including those to the IRS itself. But this waiver may not apply to people who are behind on child support. Okay? If you are behind on child support, this waiver might not apply to you. And as I sit here, I know of someone, I know of a character out there, I'm not going to mention his name, who hasn't paid child support. Giovanni, I just answered that. What if you owe $5,000 from 2019? Good news for you, buddy. You don't have to worry. I just answered that. You get it. You get the money, right? Unless you owe a lot of money on child support. That's basically the only way they're going to garnish that money. You're welcome, Giovanni. Which website didn't give me an option of self-employment? So when you go to the website and you file unemployment, remember, you can do it online. You may not get the option to file self-employment there. And then there's a phone number. So you phone that phone number. There's always 3 links on those pages that I gave you, right? Where are they? For example, we'll find it. There we go. That was the website. Was careeronestop.org, right? There, let me put it there for you again. If you guys want to go get to those links. I already made a long video on this again. I'll share it one more time. careeronestep.org. Please go there, and then if I take, for example, Nevada. Where's Nevada? Where's my Vegas crowd? Just want to just show you an example. Nevada. Search. So if you don't find that self-employment in that section online, then you call them, right? Each state has an online submission and a phone number. I dropped that link in there, by the way. Now, unemployment benefits. Who would be covered by the expanded program? The new bill would wrap in far more workers than are usually eligible for unemployment benefits. This is where we need to listen up, including self-employed people and part-time workers. The bottom line, those who are unemployed are partly unemployed or cannot work for a wide variety of coronavirus-related reasons would be more likely to receive benefits. Okay. How much would I receive? It depends on your state. Right? Benefits would be expanded in a bid to replace the average worker's paycheck. Right? So you know what your average Uber or Lyft paycheck or paychecks are per month accumulated. Will pretty much be modeled around that, right? The public policy, the average worker earns about $1,000 a week, and unemployment benefits often replace roughly 40 to 45% of that. The expansion would pay an extra amount to fill the gap. So here they say the average worker, earns about $1,000 a week, and unemployment benefits often replace 40 to 45% of that. The expansion would pay an extra amount to fill the gap. Under the plan, eligible workers will get an extra $600 per week on top of their state benefit. But some states are more generous than others. According to the Century Foundation, the maximum weekly benefit in Alabama is $275, but it's $450 in California and $713 in New Jersey. If the IRS has your details, your banking details, they'll deposit it, or otherwise they'll mail out a check. Just remember, how did you get reimbursed last time? Did you get reimbursed via a check? Do you get reimbursed directly into your account? So let's say a worker was making $1,100 per week in New York. She'd be eligible for the maximum state unemployment benefit of $504 per week. Under the new program, she gets an additional $600 of federal pandemic unemployment compensation for a total of $1,104, essentially replacing her original paycheck. States have the option of providing the entire amount in one payment or sending the extra portion separately, but it must all be done on the same weekly basis. Here we go. Are gig workers, freelancers, and independent contractors covered in the bill? Yes. Self-employed people would be newly eligible for unemployed benefits, right? Benefit amounts would be calculated based on previous income using a formula from the Disaster Unemployment Assistance Program according to a congressional aid, right? So what I will do is I will leave this link underneath so you can go to the Disaster Unemployment Assistance Program and pretty much work out what should be coming your way. Happy Dia says, Maestro, I had a UI claim and it was exhausted from the regular job. Now what do I do? Well, how long have you been claiming unemployment, Maestro? This is a whole new stimulus, right? So this will qualify you up to 4 months if you are with Uber. We're talking Uber and Lyft here. Well, when are you really going to get a check? Best case scenario, 3 weeks. Worst case scenario, 3 months. So mark my words, right? Self-employed workers would also be eligible for the additional $600 weekly benefit provided by the federal government. What if I'm a part-time worker who lost my job because of a coronavirus reason, but my state doesn't cover part-time workers? Would I still be eligible? Yes. Part-time workers would be eligible for benefits, but the benefit amount and how long benefits would last depend on your state. They would also be eligible for the additional $600 weekly benefit. What if I have COVID-19 or need to care for a family member who has it? If you've received a diagnosis, are experiencing symptoms, or are seeking a diagnosis, and you're unemployed, are partly employed, or cannot work as a result, you would be covered. The same goes if you must care for a member of your family or household who has received a diagnosis. That's an important one. I've been asked that several times. Exactly. That's the way you got to look at it. That's correct. Go, Donnie. That's the way you got to look at it. So, what if my child's school or daycare shut down? If you rely on a school, a daycare, or other facility to care for a child, elderly parent, or another household member so that you can work, and that facility has been shut down because of coronavirus, you would be eligible. What if I've been advised by a health care provider to quarantine myself because of exposure to coronavirus? And what about broader orders to stay at home? People who must self-quarantine would be covered. The legislation also says that individuals who are unable to get to work because of a quarantine imposed as a result of the outbreak would also be eligible. Okay? Yeah, it can get crazy. It's just documentation and patience, my friends. It's a lot of documentation and patience. But, I would have a checklist. Most of the states, they have a checklist. We need this, 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 and this. You write it down, or you print it out, and you go over it. You get all of the information together, and you submit it, right? It's the same when you're doing your taxes, right? You're collecting all the receipts. If you are self-employed, unless you're doing the mileage deduction, but if you're self-employed and you have an LLC and you're running yourself as a company, got to have all the receipts and all of the stuff together, that you're then submitting to your accountant or that you are manually inputting. I was about to start a new job and now can't get there because of an outbreak. You'd be eligible for benefits. You would also be covered if you were immediately laid off from a new job and did not have a sufficient work history to qualify for benefits under normal circumstances. Allentown, Tony. Good to see you here, my friend. Tony Slaughter. How are you? As a good worker, will our state accept that we don't want to work because we don't want to get the... That's what this is all about, right? This is based on 4 months, right? They're doing, if you look at the chart, if you follow the Chinese chart where it started in December, sort of slowing down after 3 months. I think the way they've calculated this, they've looked at that chart and they say, let's play it safe, make it 4 months, right? Got to ask yourself, why is this 4 months? They obviously have a lot of data to work with, right? So, Tony Slaughter, show my artwork. Where do I have your artwork? Do I have it here? Ready? Oh, that artwork. Okay. Send it to me again, please. Sorry, man. I got a lot going on, mate. So I was about to start a new job and now can't get there because of an outbreak. Yeah, just text it to me right now. So you'd be eligible for benefits. You'd also be covered if you were immediately laid off from a new job and did not have sufficient work history to qualify for benefits under normal circumstances. I had to quit my job as a direct result of coronavirus. Now that applies to many people. I had to quit my job as a direct result of coronavirus. Would I be eligible to apply for benefits? It depends. Let's say your employer didn't lay you off, but you had to quit because of a quarantine recommended by a healthcare provider or because your child's day care closed and you're the primary caregiver. Situations like that are covered. But this provision wasn't intended to cover people who quit or want to quit because they fear that continuing to work puts them at risk of contracting coronavirus, according to congressional aides. right? My employer shut down my workplace because of coronavirus. Would I be eligible? Yes. If you are unemployed, partly unemployed, or unable to work because your employer closed down, you would be covered under the bill. Tony wanted me to share his artwork. He created that, the Jokers, the two Jokers. Hashtag Corona Villains. I like your artwork. It's good. You should frame it. You should sell it. Or you print it on t-shirts. I did it. I did it for you, Tony. The breadwinner of my household has died as a result of coronavirus. Oh, God, that's terrible. The breadwinner of my household has died as a result of coronavirus. I relied on that person for income and I'm not working. Would that be covered? Yes. And that goes for that poor person from Nepal in New York, right? Who's just his family. None of them are working. They have kids. She's all stressed out. You're covered for a short while. COVID idiots, exactly. Or my t-shirts, as you will see very soon, which I've printed already. I've sent them off for print. They say, those are the t-shirts I made. Whom would the bill leave out? Workers who are able to work from home, and those receiving paid sick leave or paid family leave would not be covered. New entrants to the workforce who cannot find jobs would also be ineligible. So if you're trying to get into the workplace, don't even have a job, doesn't count. How long would the payments last? Many states already provide 26 weeks of benefits, right? You divide that by 4. So many would allow you to go over 6 months. Though some states have trimmed that back, while others provide a sliding scale tied to unemployment levels. The bill would provide all eligible workers with an additional 13 weeks. 13 weeks. So participants in states with 26 weeks would be eligible for a total of 39 weeks. The total amount cannot exceed 39 weeks, but it may be shorter in certain states. The extra $600 payment that I've mentioned right in the beginning would last for up to 4 months, covering weeks of unemployment ending July the 31st. That's that there, right? The bill would allow gig workers such as Uber and Lyft drivers, as well as freelancers and the self-employed, to be eligible to apply for unemployment benefits. It would also add $600 per week for up to 4 months compared to what beneficiaries normally receive. How long would the broader program last? Expanded coverage would be available to workers who were newly eligible for unemployment benefits for weeks starting on January the 27th, 2020 and through December 31st, 2020. Just wondering why so few people are in the stream. My guess is somebody else is streaming at the same time. Bandar, is my sister qualified? If she has worked and filed her taxes and is now laid off or cannot go, then she qualifies, right? We've discussed self-employed in here already. I'm already receiving unemployment benefits. Would I receive any help? Yes. Even if you are already receiving unemployment benefits for reasons unrelated to the coronavirus, your state level benefits would still be extended by 13 weeks. You would also receive the extra $600 weekly benefit from the federal government. My unemployment recently ran out. Could I sign up again? Yes. If you've exhausted your benefits, eligible workers could generally reapply, but how much you would get and for how long would depend on the state where you worked. Everyone would get at least another 13 weeks along with the extra $600 payment. Would this income disqualify me from any other programs? Maybe. The additional $600 benefit would count as income when determining eligibility for means-tested programs, except for Medicaid and the Children's Health Insurance Program known as CHIP. How long would I need to wait for the benefits? States have been incentivized to waive the 1 week waiting period, but it's unclear how long it would take to process claims, especially with state offices so strained by a flood of claims. Absolutely. So depends how many people are there on working on the cases. Yeah. Summary, if you worked a year ago, you resigned from the company and now you're working for Uber, yes, as the gig worker, you qualify. Student loans, the federal government has already waived 2 months of payments and interest for many federal student loan borrowers. Is there a bigger break now with the new bill? Yes, until September the 30th, there will be automatic payment suspensions for any student loan held by the federal government. It is hard to contact many of the loan services right now, so check your account online in the coming weeks. Once you're logged in, look for the current amount due. There you would be able to see if the servicer has reset its billing systems so that you are showing no payment due. Okay. Many students out there that are driving, this will apply to you. How do I know if my loan is eligible? If you've borrowed money from the federal government, a so-called direct loan in the past 10 years, you're definitely eligible. According to the Institute for College Access and Success, 90% of loans in dollar terms will be eligible. Older federal family educational loans that the U.S. Department of Education does not own would not be eligible, nor would Perkins loans from state agencies, or loans from private lenders like Discover, Sallie Mae, and Wells Fargo. The holders of those kinds of loans may be offering their own assistance programs. Alfredo, how are you? Within a few weeks of the bill becoming law, you are supposed to receive notice indicating what has happened with your federal loans. You can choose to keep paying down your principal if you want. Then after August the 1st, you should get multiple notices letting you know about the cessation of the suspension period, that you may be eligible to enroll in an income-driven repayment plan. And this, by the way, is for those loans or student loans, right? Now, will my loan servicer charge me interest during the 6-month period? The bill says that interest shall not accrue on the loan during the suspension period. At the end of the suspension, keep a close eye on what your loan servicer does or does not do to put you back into your previous repayment mode. Servicer errors are common. Will the 6-month suspension cost me money since I'm trying to qualify for the public service loan forgiveness program by making 120 monthly payments? No. The legislation says that your payment count will still go up by 1 payment each month during the 6-month suspension. Is wage garnishment that resulted from being behind on my loan payment suspended during this 6-month period? Yes. So is the seizure of tax refunds, the reduction of any other federal benefit payments, and other involuntary collection efforts. Are there changes to the rules if my employer repays some of my student loans? Yes, some employers do this as an employee benefit between the date the bill is signed and the end of 2020. They can offer up to $5,250 of assistance without that money counting as part of the employee's income. All of this, my friends, you will have the link below. Retirement accounts. Which retirement account rules would be suspended? For the retirees, listen up. For the calendar year 2020, no one would have to take a required minimum distribution from any individual retirement accounts or workplace retirement saving plans like a 401k. That way you aren't forced to sell investments that may have fallen in value, which would lock in losses. If you don't need the money now, you can let investments sit and hope that they will recover. This change would not affect old-fashioned pensions. Rachel Phillips, what if you do Uber Eats and Grubhub and has been affected by, well, if you considered at that moment, you considered as a gig worker, right? The state would want to know, basically, they'd want to see the numbers. They'd want to see what you filed in your 2018 or your 2019 tax returns for Uber Eats and Grubhub. That'll very much determine what you will be paid. But yes, you qualify. Finding Carla, is it only for people who filed 2018 taxes? You would have had to file your 2018 or 2019 taxes. That's the minimum. If you haven't filed 2018 and 2019, it'll probably become problematic. But you could still rush and file those documents. You can file those papers. What if I have to take money out of my IRA or workplace retirement plan early? You could withdraw up to $100,000 this year without the usual 10% penalty, as long as it's because of the outbreak. You can start the process, Craigslist. You don't have to wait for that guy's signature. In fact, they're encouraging you to start the progress. Early bird catches the worm. You would also be able to spread out any income taxes. You would also be able to spread out any income taxes that you owe over 3 years from the date you took the distribution. And if you want, you could put the money back into the account before those 3 years are up, even though the rules may normally keep you from making a contribution that large. I was talking about the IRA or workplace retirement, if you have to take money out of it. Can I still borrow from my 401k or other workplace retirement? Yes. And you could take out twice the usual amount for 180 days after the bill passes, with certification that you've been affected by the pandemic. You'd be able to take out a loan of up to $100,000. Usually you can't take out money more than half your balance, but that rule would be suspended. If you already have a loan and were supposed to finish repaying it before December 31, you'd get an extra year. Charitable contributions. If I want to help people who are suffering from the pandemic, does the bill do anything about charitable donations? Yes, the bill would make a new deduction available and not just for 2020, for up to $300 in annual charitable contributions. It's available only to people who don't itemize their deductions, and you calculate this new one by subtracting the amount you give from your gross income. To qualify, you would have to give cash to a qualified charity and not to a donor-advised fund, which is charitable account that affluent people often use to bunch contributions. So won't count if you make a charity to one of those affluent funds. I'm lucky to have substantial wealth, and I want to give more to charity than I usually do. Have the limits on charitable deductions changed? Yes, they have. As part of the bill, donors can deduct 100% of their gift against their 2020 adjusted gross income. If you have 1 million of income, you can give 1 million to a public charity and deduct the full amount in 2020. The new deduction is only for cash gifts that go to public charity. There we go. So I went over that. I'll leave the link there. Yeah, you can start. You can start the process. It's in effect. It's already in effect, right? Call up. What state are you in, Craigslist? You call up your state. You go to that website that I gave you. You call them up and say, can I start the progress? They will say yes. You don't have to believe me. Go and check with your state, okay? All right, my friends. That's it. I will leave the link underneath. If there are any other questions, just wanted to make sure I connected you with all of those institutions. I connected you with the 50 states. I gave you the frequently asked questions and answers to that. And I gave a lot of additional information to the California market who were misclassified under AB5. There's a whole lot of other extra things you can do and extra paper that you have to fill out. How long does the process take for approval? Well, if you have your 2018 and 2019, if you have your 2018 and your 2019 taxes filed, or one of the two, and you submit this like tomorrow, okay, you get the paperwork in. The earliest you could get, as per the Treasury Department, is in 3 weeks' time. I don't think it's going to be quite that. It'll be something between 3 weeks and 3 months. Brad, you're more than welcome, my friend. Thank you for being here. All right, my friends, Rachel Phillips, I've answered you. Everybody else, I think I've answered to the best of my ability. Yes, I said, Rachel, you can still file for unemployment. Absolutely. Because you're affected by this. Any other questions? No? Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. It's been a long day. I'm tired. Wish you a good night. Stay safe out there. If I could get a couple of more thumbs up, I'll leave at 30. Pretty low. Usually, it's usually somewhere between 80 to 100 thumbs up. Can I get another 2 thumbs up? Thank you. Appreciate it. 32. My friends, stay safe. I will be back tomorrow with a lot of good additional news. Have a wonderful evening. And please practice social distancing, stay indoors, make sure you have everything that it takes, right? All the good stuff. Love you madly. Bye.